In this very room, there's quite enough love for everyone, and in this very room, there's quite enough joy for everyone, and there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For spirit is in this very room, in this very room, in this very room.
Beautiful.
How good it is, how wonderful to have yet another opportunity to come together with beings of like heart, mind, spirit, and nature, and to celebrate and to know once again that there's one life, one mind, one power, one presence, one eternal giving nature. It is the life, the mind, the power, and the presence, the eternal giving nature of God, the good, the indwelling, and self-existent one that lives and breathes and has his being in and through and as all of creation, in and through and as this service, in and through and as me, in and through and as all circumstances and all situations. I know this service is already complete in mind, that each of us is opening up for the very best of ourselves, to touch the rest of ourselves and infect ourselves with the same glory, the same bounty, the same beauty, the same resplendent nature in every aspect of our being. We do this inwardly, knowing that the inward focus expresses an outward intent. So it is. Amen.
So it is. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to try this song that we've done. I haven't sung it myself, but we've done it before. Each and every day, I'm going to share my love. So some of you know it. Sing along. Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my love. Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my love. Each and every day, I know I'm going to share my love. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Share my peace. Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my peace. Each and every day, I know I'm going to share my peace. Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my peace. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Joy. Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my joy. Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my joy. Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my joy. Hallelujah, hallelujah. It's fun. How about love again? Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my love. Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my love. Each and every day, you know I'm going to share my love. Hallelujah, hallelujah. One more hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I think her name is Brandis McKenzie. Some of the East Bay Church.
Brandis.
Brandis, thank you. I always forget where that voice came from. I don't know. Where is that voice? In the back room. Okay, that was
Yeah,
great.
really in the back.
I don't know where he is. Oh, we need a reader. Oh, Daniel's, thank you. I'll get a microphone.
from the Guide for Spiritual Living for today's date, February 16th. Stay inspired is the theme. Two quotes here. First from William James. Believe that life is worth living, and your belief will help create the fact. And the second quote is, with every new inspiration of thought, we appropriate something of God. With every outpouring of life expressed in faith and good deeds, we are expressing God. And that's from Ernest Holmes from The Science of Mind. The reading by the author goes as such. I get it. We live in times when we find it hard to stay inspired. With news showing all of humanity's inhumanity, we sometimes find it difficult to stay in a space of love. Sometimes I find myself in a space of wonderment, by which I mean that I wonder why this keeps happening. We human beings are interesting creatures. We waste so much time wondering which bachelorette we will get a rose, what the latest fashions are, what the politicians are doing in this nation and around the world. I'm not saying that paying attention to the last part is not important. What I am saying, though, is that we cannot allow ourselves to get distracted from who we came here to be, Albert Einstein said, in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. Every experience is an opportunity to love. Every experience is an opportunity to grow. To stay inspired, we must keep our focus on that which we desire. Do not allow yourself to be distracted from expressing your God-given desire. You are here on purpose for a purpose. To be sure, we can't stick our heads in the sand. We can, however, be keenly aware of what's going on, staying focused and inspired to bring our desires to manifestation. Your desire for peace can help change the world. I'll read the affirmation and then I'll ask you to repeat it after me a second time. I am inspired to live my dreams.
I am inspired to live my dreams.
I inspire others to do the same.
I inspire others to do the same.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dick. This should be there, whatever, the magazine. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the joy wash over us. We let it be. We let the peace wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the joy wash over us. We let it be. We let the peace wash over us. We let it be. We let it be. And so it is.
So it is.
Wow, beautiful song.
I just realized I need to retie these people because it's kind of damp up here still. So
Yeah.
bear with me.
No socks today.
Oh, I have socks,
I
but
mean, no socks. You don't want to wear socks.
they're
But
getting damp up
a
here.
wet rug.
I just realized, dude, you're going to have wet feet in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And that's not my favorite way to travel. So good morning. Good seeing Brother Daniel. Brother Daniel, I thought you didn't do Vipassana yet. You asking later? I mean, there's still time. There's still time. I'm like, there's still time. We're gonna make it a thing. They always look. What's that? Take your spot? I'd gladly. Man, thank you for being present again. God bless us each and every one. Such a pleasure to be the minister here, to serve here in any capacity. I love the spiritual community. Someplace where I can go and people can see who I am in spite of my flaws, in spite of my faults, in spite of the ways I don't show up in a regular way, and I've never been able to do that. It just wasn't in the cards for me. I'm just different. And I'm not saying that because I think I'm special, although I know everybody's special. You know, everybody's special, but, oh yeah. Letting go, a new way of being together. That's the topic today. A new way of being together. Affirmation says, I commit to being awake, alive, and aware each moment. That's a tough call. I commit to being awake, alive, and aware each moment. And as I'm speaking about being awake, alive, and aware, don't let me forget. They're right there. Don't let me forget to do our affirmation, which goes, thank you very much. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful and committed citizens can make a difference in the world. Indeed, that's all it ever has. It's taken. It's rooted. You got it. It's bearing fruit. I'm so excited. So easily pleased. Oh man, thank you for that, because it's the truth. And so today, and I'm probably going to be over here on my notes more than normal, but I say that a lot and it never really happens. Naropa, an 11th century Indian yogi, met an older woman on the street. She knew he was one of the greatest Buddhist scholars in India and asked him if he understood the words in the large book he was holding. He said yes, and she laughed and danced with glee. Then she asked if he understood the meaning of the teachings in the book. Wanting to please her, he said yes, and she became enraged, calling him a hypocrite and a liar. That encounter changed Naropa's life. He knew he only understood the words, not the profound inner meanings of the teachings. It reminds me of a quick story about two preachers were preaching the 23rd Psalm. The young preacher got up first. He preached for all he was worth. He wanted everybody to know there was a new sheriff in town, big dog on the block. He's trying to make sure everybody knows he's the new guy without saying anything about it, you know. And it was a great talk. Everybody loved it. They were just shouting, falling out in the aisles. But when the old man got up, see, I'm partial to this story now. His sermon was not, it was a lesson. It was a walk. It was an excursion into the consciousness of that psalm. People were weeping and crying, having transformations. It was like nothing the young guy had ever seen. And he wanted to know what the old man had done. I got to learn how you did this. You got to teach this to me. He said, well, son, you know the psalm, but I know the shepherd. Some things you have to experience. That's just the way life works out. Some things you don't know until you know, and the only way you get to know is when you find yourself in a place where you cannot unknow it, because you cannot escape it. My old friend's showing up again today. Grief. Grief is one of those things you can know about it. I knew a lot about it. I teach it. You know? But I'd never experienced the shepherd before. I'd never had to do that walk before. Not at the level that the last 3 years have done. And I'm sure you understand. And what happens when you're in a situation of grief, you have to walk. That's why it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That's what grief feels like. Grief is a consciousness. It's a state of mind that has gravity, and it pulls us down. So we call it a sinking feeling. We call it despair. We have a lot of different ways to describe grief. Suffering is what I'm talking. Grief is an aspect of suffering. Excuse me. Grief is an aspect of suffering. Suffering is a consciousness. There's a lot of there's more consciousness than that, but it is one that we have, and we experience it. We know about it, but what's important is how do we handle the suffering? The Buddhists say that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And they say that suffering is a choice because they believe you can end suffering through their eightfold path. And so they've got a way for people to end their suffering if you follow these 8 particular things. A lot of us get to the end of, where the end of our conscience is. You see a child acting up on a plane or in a store, or your mate cheats on you, or government comes and tells you you owe more money. Something can happen that can trigger a panic alert, trigger a survival mechanism, trigger the idea that something is happening to me. And as long as we're in the consciousness of the world is happening to me, we are ripe for the suggestion of suffering, because suffering is what is being done to me. Yes? Am I in the right room? Okay. So, if people are doing stuff to me, as in messing with me, sometimes messing with me is just not doing what I want, when I want. It's like, that's what I wanted. It's easy to get the sense of other because my needs aren't being met at the moment. My sense of other, no, that's not my sense of other. We don't even go there because I'll keep coming up with more places further and further back. Suffering. Can't get away from it. It's about how I handle it. How do we reconcile that frustration and humiliation when our longing to be open and compassionate, with our longing to be open and compassionate? How do we do that? How do we reconcile that frustration and humiliation with our longing to be open and compassionate? This is a interesting place to find oneself for the practitioner. It is an exceedingly important place. This is Pema Chodron, When Things Fall Apart book. This is a powerful, powerful message. The subtitle is Hard Advice for Difficult Times. I think she was going through a really bad breakup and bad just all the way around. And through the suffering, she found peace in her spiritual practice. People, we have to have a way out of the madness. And this is madness. We are in madness. I'm finding myself having to talk in real general terms more than I ever did before, because the game is afoot in ways I've never experienced it before. It's so polarized that it's very difficult to not become polarized by the trance of polarization. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is so easy to get into an us against them mindset because that's what's being blasted. That's what we get. I don't care what the algorithm is. Okay, I got a spiritual algorithm. Okay, I got a lot of spiritual stuff. But these things break through the algorithm anyway, because that's what's going on in the world, and that's why they say, the scripture says, be in the world but not of the world. I've always known that I'm not from around here anyway, so that works for me. I got some other people who are not from around here, huh? It would make sense that we'd gather together. I mean, we got to find places we can go. There's a couple of possible talking points on this. The first one is that mindfulness teaches us the importance of staying in the present moment. Yet most of us live autopilot, unaware of our habits, opinions, and stories keep us blind to the beauty, love, and magic in the world. Not just in the world. Our habits, opinions, and stories keep us blind to the beauty, love, and magic in our lives, of ourselves. It's difficult to let go of the tale of woe. It's comfortable. It's like an old pair of shoes. You're familiar with it. You know exactly how it works. You know how it goes. And it's difficult to change. If it's going to make me happy, why is it so hard for me to do it? I had a bad habit at one point of asking things in the negative. A good friend of mine helped me with this. She said, why do you keep asking? I said, you don't have any of this, do you? You wouldn't happen to have, remember that commercial? You wouldn't have any Grey Poupon? That was me. You know, you don't have any of this, you don't have any of that. She said, why do you keep asking me what I don't have? Are you looking for something that I don't have? You keep asking me, you don't have this, do you? You don't have, and I always have it. Are you trying to find something? Wow. What's that? Well, I might as well go there. That's just about specificity of language, but what she's talking about is in a Thai restaurant, the waiter didn't speak much English, asked me if I wanted the food hot, spicy hot. I said, oh, not too hot. I don't want it too hot. But I want. He said, oh, you want it hot? I said, no, I don't want it too hot. Okay, not too hot. Oh, you want hot? No, I don't want hot. I don't want it hot. And finally, I said, dude, ask for what you want. I said, excuse me, I would like my food mild. Oh, you want mild? The lights come on. Everybody's home. He said, why didn't you say that in the first place? I thought I was saying it, but I didn't understand how my conversation sounds to other people. But if you want to know how your conversation sounds to other people, look and see how the people around you sound to you. Because we always run into ourselves wherever we go, and people are parroting back to us what's going on in our own minds, and though we may not be thinking it in the moment, it doesn't mean it's not in our consciousness. If it's in our consciousness, then we are being, it is here to serve us, or we're serving it. And for me, I'm sticking with the idea that everything that comes in my life comes to bless me. This is my affirmation. Everything that comes to me comes to serve me. It's not arrogance that I say this. It's not vanity that I say this. It's a realization of wholeness that I cannot and will not let go of. When Jacob rested the angel, he said, I won't let you go until you bless me. Many people look at that as a parable, understanding that the wrestling match wasn't necessarily an angel, but perhaps a problem that he was having. He's like, I'm not going to let it go until I find the blessing here. There's always a blessing. There's a good story about an optimist and a pessimist. Have I told you this before? You know this? Woman's got a set of twins. One of them's an optimist and one's a pessimist. No matter what happens, the optimist is happy. No matter what happens, the pessimist feels bad. She goes to the psychiatrist to get some answers. What am I going to do? Christmas is coming up. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get the pessimist everything he wants, best toys in the market, and we're going to give the optimist a booby prize. So she's a little worried about that at first, but she's really trying to, mothers are going to go that extra mile for the children. It's just what they do. And more than an extra mile, let me say that. I know mine went more than an extra mile for me. Whew! That's 3 or 4 weeks of lessons on that one. And so Christmas comes and the pessimist is opening his presents and he's like, oh man, John got one of these last year. Oh man, I wanted a blue one. This one's a red. There was something wrong with every toy. And the mother's just so frustrated. Just, what can I do? But I know at least I got one of them right. Okay, because she got the optimist a room full of horse feathers. Manure. So when she comes into the room, she can hear him squealing with delight before she even opens the door. He's got tunnels in it. He's built a castle. He's built a ledge he can jump off. He's having all the fun in the world. And she's, look, I don't understand it. I don't understand how your brother can be so miserable with all the wonderful toys I got him. But I sure don't understand why you can be happy when what I got you was a room full of horse manure. And the little boy looked at his mommy and said, you can't fool me, Mommy, with all this horse manure. There's got to be a pony in here somewhere. So I'm always looking for my pony. I expect good things to happen. I want you to hear the way I'm speaking because we want to learn how to speak in present tense, first person, present tense, about that which we desire as if it is so. This is how we get out of suffering. This is how we get out of despair. We talk about what we want and not about what we don't want. We talk about what we want and not about the condition. We talk about consciousness and not the condition. Consciousness over conditions. Are you following me so far? Consciousness says there's only oneness. Consciousness says we're all part of the oneness. Consciousness says whatever I'm looking at is me looking back at me, which is really scary sometimes because sometimes I freak myself out. Sometimes I'm pretty scary looking. Sometimes I'm pretty desperate, destitute looking. Sometimes, man, I'm looking good. It just varies. But it's always me. Always me. And if I'm wise enough to remember this, I get to pay attention to exactly what I'm watching so I can find my own correction. Because wherever I'm finding fault somewhere else, that's X on my treasure map of consciousness, and we all know X marks the spot, yes? Which means I'm going to dig here for the buried treasure of my kind. Buried beneath what? Buried beneath duality and suffering. What?
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
So this is just reminding me, our grandson, you guys have all met him, Messiah. He's 9. He's going to be 10 in May, the day before his birthday. May 27th, May 28th, just saying. Anyway, so he's been staying with us again. He's going to be with us for a few days. And 2 different words that crept into his vocabulary. We have no idea where they've come from, but they are seriously revealing consciousness. He keeps talking about fault all of a sudden. It's not my fault. It's your fault. It's somebody's fault. And then he's talking about judgment. Judging me. Are you judging me? Are you judging that? Are you judging cats? Like, well, I'm not judging cats, right? The cat pooped in our backyard, and I'm like, that's not judgment. I'm like, there's cat poop, right? So I told him this morning after 2 days.
What kind of
this,
judgment?
I said, Messiah, I really want you to hear the language you're using and think about this. I don't want you to use the word fault anymore. Use the word responsibility. Anytime you want to talk about fault, say responsibility. Because if you say, it's not my responsibility, I want you to think about what you just said. Or, it's your responsibility. Really? Okay, let's talk about that. And if you're going to use the word judgment instead of judgment, come up with a question. Like, what do you mean by that? Why are you talking about the cat food? Come up with a question that relates to it. Because those 2 words are so powerful, and you're almost 10. And if you keep using those words from the age of 10 for the rest of your life,
You wind up like
oh
the rest of us.
my God. I'm serious. Think about it, right? Versus right now, at 9 and whatever, 3/4, no fault, responsibility, not judgment. Ask a question. Like, language reveals consciousness, and it's never too early and it's never too late to think about it.
But it's a lot harder when we've got these deep tracks in
Absolutely,
our
100%.
brain.
And we have no idea where they came from. We talked about it. Like, who's his mom, his sister? Like, who's using this at school? And we're like, who cares?
Pick it up.
Yeah, just whatever. Correct. You talked about correction. So, like changing something, shifting, right? So
Hearing you talk about that, it's like internally, when I am blaming off of myself or someone else, it's like, yeah, stop and ask the question
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah.
Why am I thinking of
Yeah,
that?
and at first we were talking
What's
about, where is
underneath
that
it?
coming from? But he's not even always sure. So like, okay, we're eliminating all of that. We're substituting language, and then as that develops, we can talk about the consciousness behind all of it. So, right. Well, it's new though. It's something, it's totally new. He hasn't done that. Like even in the last 6 months, he wasn't doing it. Yeah, anyway.
Because people at home can't hear you.
Yeah, okay, never mind. You're responsible for not coming.
No, what falls is like, it's your fault you're not here. You know, so no, I'm supposed to make sure you can hear what happened while you weren't here.
They judging you from home.
What's that?
So they judging you from home.
See how easy it is?
It's not like we're judging them from here while they're at home. But either way, judgment is, you know, I love the philosophy because it's a no-fault insurance.
Yeah.
No fault, no blame, no shame. That works for me. No fault, no blame, no shame. Where do I sign up? Well, I had to sign up with responsibility, and I wasn't going, wait a second. You know, the question she's talking about asking, you can always ask what Ishmael said, my brother Ishmael, my mentor and brother and friend. He says, what is the learning? What are you learning right now? How am I being blessed? How is this blessed me? What is the purpose of this in my life? It came here to serve. Everything serves me. And if it doesn't do anything but get me on my knees praying, that's a great position to be in. Because it means I've surrendered. That means I've quit trying to figure it out. That means I recognize my intellect is limited and attached to my ego, trying to be right. And maybe being right is the wrong strategy right now. It goes on to say the idea of welcoming love as a means of relating to ourselves and others, I said this before, is challenging because it goes against all of our training. There's a resistance to love in a culture that puts us down, shames us, and encourages us to run after other, less authentic versions of ourselves. I love that passage. There's a resistance to love in a culture that puts us down, shames us, and encourages us to run after other, less authentic versions of ourselves. Yeah, we got winner chicken dinner in the front row here, John, huh? We can relate to that. How many times have you chased the fool's gold? But there's a reason why there's fool's gold. That's what we got to remember. The only reason we have fool's gold is because there's something called gold. We are the gold. We chase the fool gold because we keep trying to shape ourselves into an image, into an idea that fits a norm that may or may not be who we are. And it's difficult. You can't maintain that. You cannot consistently be something or someone that you are not. It's going to create problems. It's going to feel like suffering, but it's just a manifestation of us choosing to be someone or something that you're not. When I was a boy, much like my young grandson here, very, very impressionable child, sweet kid. My dad is a combat veteran. Actually, he's decorated war hero. He hangs out on Skid Row, down on Sacramento Street and right off between Ashby and I would say Alcatraz, but that's too far. More like Tyler, Prince Street. It's only 2 or 3 blocks. And I go down there because I want to be with my dad, and that's where he's at. I'm terrified. It's scary, but I've been taught to face fear. I've been taught to push forward. So I'm going down there scared. He got friends named, one's named Po Devil. I kid you not. Here, Greasy James, Po Devil, trying to think. He ran out of a storybook, man. These are the people he hangs out with. It's like, these are the guys that like, one guy for $50, he'll take anybody out. I mean, there's all kinds of people down there. I don't have no business down here. And I know how afraid I am, and I'm afraid that if I don't associate with these people, I'll be terrified for the rest of my life. So I spent a bunch of my mistakes in my early childhood was me trying to assimilate, trying to put that shoe on that did not fit. I'm not really bad. I was raised to be, because I had 5 sisters, I was the oldest, so it put me in that position, but that's just not who I am. And I went through a bunch of changes, broke up my family, did a bunch of crazy madness, trying to fit into a got washed up on the beach of religious science one day because everything wasn't working. You know what my book Telltale Signs to Know You're Tripping? When nothing is working, when you look at your life and everything's a mess, it's easy to blame everybody else for why it's a mess, but I'm too conscious now and I can't do that. And I got it. There's something wrong with me. found this philosophy, and they start talking about my wholeness, my perfection, and my completeness, how I was one with God. And somehow, that made sense. But God had already kicked me off the streets. I washed up here because I got booted off the streets. I didn't get run off the streets. I wouldn't let that happen. I'm too crazy for that. I gotta prove my point. So I stayed until everybody could see I wasn't afraid. Even though I was afraid, I had a good front though. But God exited me from that scene. I was destined to do this. I knew not that. At one point, I thought I had to kill the guy who stabbed me. I thought I was supposed to do that. You see, you can't consistently be somebody that you're not. If I had done that, I'd have been like Malcolm X and found God in prison. Wherever I was going, whatever I was doing, God had a vision for me. And it was to do this. Maybe I wouldn't have been here, but I would be doing this because this is what I came here to do. We all have a purpose. We all have a purpose. Viktor Frankl in his book, I'm trying to remember the name of the book about, I know the passage. Yeah, that one.
Meaning of life.
Meaning of life or something like that. And there's more to the title than that, but he talks about how the people in the prison camp who survived had a sense of purpose, had something to live for. And the people who did it, did it. And he quoted somebody, said, somebody, I don't know who said this, but when somebody understands the why, then they can usually survive anyhow. Once you understand why you're going through it, why am I doing this? To glorify the presence of divine in my life. Why am I going through this? So I can know God at a deeper level. Why am I doing this? Why? I told you a story about Patrick Johnson, Leslie. Why am I dealing with Patrick Johnson at this level? So that I can understand I don't have to worry about Patrick Johnsons in my life. So I can cure the Patrick Johnson in my own head who's jealous and petty and competing with everybody. I just want to let you guys know I'm competing with you because I'm way too spiritual to do it. You know, my son talked about judge, my grandson played judge. I would judge you outrightly. I keep that to myself. But I'm working on myself, people. This less than authentic version of myself. First 3 girlfriends I had broke my heart and cheated on me with 2 with my best friend, 1 with my worst enemy. I'm crushed. I swore I'm never gonna love like this again. Well, that set me up for a bunch of tragedy and heartache, you see. I'm never gonna be this vulnerable again. Really. I'm never gonna be touched like this again. What a sacrifice of it. Because I was in pain. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. Suffering is what happens when we don't let go of the pain. Suffering is what happens when we decide I'd rather be right than happy. We have to accept that being fully divine doesn't mean, oh, this one right here, this is the second point. To get to love, we have to let go of the idea that spiritual life is a journey with a destination. Nope. There's no destination. The journey is the destination. That's what it is. It has a destination. It's called the journey. If you're on the journey, then you're already at your destination. It's about paying attention. This awareness piece we talked about earlier. The only thing you have to do in this philosophy is pay attention. And if you pay attention, you will self-reflect. And once you self-reflect, you will behold the presence of God in your life. Simple as that. As simple as that. What it takes to heal. Yeah, that's the one right there. Prentice Hemphill said that. What it takes to heal. Sometimes our need to be right and see others as wrong can prevent us from leading with love. What is leading with love? To get to love, we have to let go of the idea that the spiritual life is a journey with a destination. That at some point we will become enlightened and never experience human conditions again. That's not what enlightenment is. That's Judeo-Christian heaven. Where there's no crying, no dying, no problems, everything's going to be great. I'm not here to debunk that. I'm just saying there's a difference between what enlightenment is and that. Enlightenment doesn't mean you're in a place where there's no more problems. It means you learn how to handle the problems. There's an old koan, that's not a koan, I don't know what they call it, but what do you do before enlightenment? You chop wood and you carry water. What do you do after enlightenment? You chop wood and you carry water. It's how you chop it. It's how you carry it. It's in what manner am I being in the world. We got a book when I was a child. It was about Native Americans, and I just love the title. The book said, "A Sacred Manner in Which We Live." It just stood out to me. So I was just looking. I looked at the book, but I think the title was saying something to me even more than what I was looking at. Because I didn't pay a whole lot. I mean, there's great images and stuff like that, but a sacred manner in which we live. I'd like to think I live a sacred life. I can think of all the ways it doesn't look sacred to me. And I'm sure some other people can point out some. No, don't look up that sacred to you. But what I'm saying is this. It is my intention every day, with every breath and every heart, to be the light of God, to be the truth, to speak the truth, to extend the hand of compassion and love. And that is what my intention is, but sometimes there's something that stops me from the friction of reaching out, of breaking through my comfort zone will cause me to hesitate. Eventually, I'm going to do it. The question is, how long is it going to take me? How long before I get the message? How long before I get the learning? How long before I end the suffering? My teacher Ernie used to talk about how suffering, and he talked about this bear that wandered into a camp, and there's a big old pot of food on the fire. He could smell the food. He was hungry. And so he reaches in the pot to get some of the food out, and the boiling water burns his paw. He shrieks. And he's enraged. So he pushes the pot and it splashes some more. And he's even more enraged. So he grabs the pot, the bear hug, and he starts shaking it. We can see what's going on, right? Can you see that in your own life? How I'm not letting go of the problem. I'm trying to solve it. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to beat. I'm trying to prove my intellect. And I will prove my intellect. But my intellect might take me so far. Einstein said imagination is stronger than the intellect. Intellect is limited to what it can prove. Imagination starts at the level of proof and goes beyond it. So if I'm looking for something that I haven't seen yet, I have to get out of my head, out of my intellectual mind, and allow my imagination to form an image of that idea for me. Are you with me, student? This means right now, if you want peace in your life, then you have to turn the news into something different. You just can't look at the news as facts. Well, you can look at the news as facts. They are facts. But guess what happened in the last 20 years? We got introduced to something called alternative facts. Facts aren't even facts anymore. I used to think science was actual, real. But now I know it's not even real. It's one of the realest things that I'm looking into. I'm not just trying to debunk it. But I read one study that says there's never been 100% consensus on any scientific theory ever. What are you talking about? Well, why are we listening to this? What are we listening to them for? You can't make up your mind about what the truth is? I know for a fact Pluto has changed back and forth about 5 or 6 times since I was born. Okay, the duck-billed platypus when I was a boy was an egg-laying mammal. It's changed several times. They keep making up more stuff. But we didn't want that to be our standard. What's that? Gravity is another. Gravity, that's a whole other. What's that?
It works and then it gets weird once I break it down.
It gets weird because it starts to hit us where we live. We all have our special projects, our sacred cows, our favorite something. And when consciousness starts to affect our relationship with them, instead of questioning our relationship, we question consciousness. And, you know, this stuff is fine up to a point. I mean, you know, all this peace and love and stuff is all right, but in reality, you hear me say it all the time, the big fish is equal to fishes. Consciousness is cause. How am I having this experience? Who am I being during this time? If you're going to watch the news, ask yourself, what is watching this doing for me? How can I turn this into a benefit? Oh, one of my favorite quotes. I don't even know who say it, but I got it here somewhere. It says, never waste a good tragedy. Now, the guy who said this, he's an economic guy, and he's talking about how a good, and he's talking about in medicine, he's talking about medicine, how a good tragedy. Your patient comes to you in a tragic situation. Don't waste it. It's always a good opportunity, spirit, soul, mind, and body, for a healing, for a transformation. Don't waste it. Now it's been applied to economics and so many other things. It's just such a good phrase. Never waste a good tragedy. When I was a boy, I heard this. It's a horrible expression, but I get it. They said if there's blood in the streets, buy land. It's never going to be cheaper. It's just a matter of consciousness. Do you understand what I'm saying? Most people, oh, I would never buy land. No. This is the time to do it. You have to stop thinking about the way I would normally do it, because what I normally do is getting the results I have right now. You know, if I'm looking for results that are beyond what I have right now, I have to do something different than what I'm doing right now. Never waste a good tragedy. X marks the spot. If I see a problem, drill here, dig here. This is where I'm going to find God. Because this is where I'm in denial about my blessing. This is where I'm in denial about the truth of who I am. This is where I can't see myself. I can just throw up an obstacle, blame somebody else, keep it moving, blame the economy, blame the world, blame politics, blame the opposite sex, the same sex, whatever. But I'm still stuck right there as long as I do that. It takes what we've been telling you. Take responsibility for where I am. My choices got me here. Well, you know, it's tough being a black man. It's Black History Month. Black History Month was designed by Carter G. Woodson because he realized the quote-unquote Negro just didn't know enough about himself. Why didn't we know about ourselves? Because we weren't in charge with the education system. And the education system wasn't teaching us anything about ourselves except we were ignorant, backward savages, slaves, good for, 3/5 of being a human being. And that was the rule of law. It's in the Constitution. So you know it must be true. How do you break that trance? How do you break the thing that says you are less than have all the proof? So he came up with Negro History Week. So we could learn about ourselves 1 week, you know, between the two presidents' birthdays. That's why I said February was the coldest month of the year. Like, dude, you didn't think this through. You didn't think this through. What's that?
And the shortest.
Yeah, and the shortest. Yeah, we need less time. But it was a way to introduce us to ourselves, and as a child I had the Negro Heritage Library. My parents would tell me stories about our past, so I had a good understanding about this. But this is the exact same thing on a spiritual context. It's about learning who I am. It's about learning who I am by listening to all the wonderful stories about people who have overcome hardship before I ever got here. Even while I'm here. We've seen people go through way worse stuff than us. You know, without it changing who they are. Or they got transformed. Like Malcolm was a numbers runner. He was a gangster. Okay, when he went to jail, he finds Allah in jail. A lot of people find God in prison. That's it makes sense. Well, it's a place to look if you find yourself there. It's not a good, I'm not going to call it a good place to look. I'm not trying to go in there and find, I'm sure I'd find it if I went in there.
Now we're at that.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's a good place to look.
Man. Then that Han reminds us that Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, enlightenment didn't stop him from being human. After his enlightenment, he was still a human being with all the suffering and afflictions that a human body entails. He experienced feelings and emotions, pain, hope, hunger, fatigue, just like all of us. We know he suffered. But the key point is, he knew how to suffer. This is important. Because if not today, tomorrow, at some point it's going to feel like suffering. How do we get out of that box? How do we do like Mandela, who went to prison wrongly, kept his cool? And when he got out, because he was able to maintain his integrity with himself, he goes from prisoner to president. This is the conscience I'm looking for myself. From the prison of my thinking to the president of my thinking. There's a story, and I don't know if it's true or not, it's been debunked, but I like the story about when he came out, he saw all the people out there cheering for him, and he realized, where were y'all when I was in there for 27 years? Okay, oh, now you want to come and cheer because it's a thing now. You know, it's to come out here and cheer me. And he said, oh, wait a second, I just got out of prison. I'm not going back into the prison of resentment. Resentment is a prison. Resentment is unresolved anger from the past. And we all have a layer and a level of resentment. I mean, I believe we all do. Because it's just, we haven't healed all of that anger. And if we had, then great. Teach us how. Show us the way. We talked about the mindfulness training. This is a call to action. Not going to go through all the different ones. So I was working on the computer and I came up with this. At the depth of suffering, I door. And I stopped right there. And I'm wondering what goes here. Can somebody fill in the blank? This is for yourself. At the depth of suffering, or whatever you want to put that. But how do you end your sentence at the depth of suffering? What happens?
Open.
What's that?
There's a choice.
There's a choice. Okay.
I can open.
Open. Anybody else?
Open.
We just get to the depth. We don't go much further than that. We don't see no reason to go beyond that. A lesson.
I surrender, yeah.
A surrender. At the depth of suffering. You got transformation. I think I had something. I wonder where my
Sometimes I
stuff-
just sit there and wallow.
Oh, man. Oh, my
For as
God.
long as I need to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's the wallowing.
With the blaming and all of that.
I can't blame, but I can still wallow. Wallow in the quagmire of despair. At the depth of suffering, you're angry. Okay.
Is that grief, the depth of suffering, grief?
Man's search for meaning. Right. Isn't there another part of the...
What do you want me to look at?
There's a poem called George Gray by Edgar Lee Masters. So we're in here about how it's not just a feeling, it's a level of consciousness, a realm where despair, depression, and anxiety reside. If suffering is a consciousness, then, is it possible to move beyond? Well, we know it's not the only one. It's not the only way we ever have, so yes, it's possible to move beyond. Different traditions teach us different ways how to do that. People say, well, I want to go here, yeah. So I had two quotes. I'm trying to, okay. Okay, thank you. No, you can read it. Because you can read it better than I can. It's just fact.
I have a question.
Yes.
Isn't, like in that example, isn't the consciousness grief and suffering the choice of how you live it?
Yes. Because there's,
I don't see suffering as a consciousness itself,
well,
but is it?
Well,
Is it just another layer?
we're working stuff out here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stand there and say, oh, no, it's definitely this, and it can't be that. No, that's just not the way it works. Okay?
If suffering is like pain, oftentimes there's three components. There's the sensation, there's the
out of our brain, the emotion
And
comes
the
out of
meaning is
our
what's
heart.
causing us the pain, not the feeling.
Right,
And the meaning is what makes you suffer.
yeah, how we choose to hold
And so
it.
there's a conscience around having a mindset where there's an other to blame. And so what we're working on is having a mindset where there is no other. And it's tough. Because there's some people in the world I generally don't like. But I have to know that what I don't like about them is what I don't like about me. Sometimes I can't see that in me. And that's why I have them. And if I keep knowing the truth about them, eventually, and not, this is happening, I just keep telling the truth about them. And then I see my reflection. But I gotta stop. I can't let them be the low down, dirty, and no good that I projected them to be, with all the blame and shame and guilt that I've projected onto them. I'm not gonna see myself in there. No, that's not me. My conscience is too pristine for that. But as I keep telling the truth about who they are, without wavering, I say, I gotta keep telling the truth. I gotta keep telling the truth. Eventually, I'll start to see that truth in them, and that's when I see their truth in me. What's the expression says? When you believe in what you don't see more than what you do see, then you will see what you don't see, and you won't see what you do see. This is critical. We don't believe what we see what we believe. This is a scientific fact, and you know science doesn't lie.
I think it's also, I don't think, thank you, that we don't see what we describe. No, let's see. We don't describe what we see. We see what we describe. So change the description. This is George Clay, a poet, Gray, who lived from 1868 to 1950. And the poem says, I have studied many times the marble which was chiseled for me, a boat with a furled sail at rest in a harbor. In truth, it pictures not my destination, but my life. For love was offered me, and I shrank from its delusionment. Sorrow knocked at my door, but I was afraid. Ambition called to me, but I dreaded the chances. Yet all the while I hungered for meaning in my life. And now I know that we must lift the sail and catch the winds of destiny wherever they drive the boat. To put meaning in one's life may end in madness, but life without meaning is the torture of restlessness and vague desire. It is a boat longing for the sea and yet afraid.
River anthology is a book of poetry about a town that died. And every poem is a story from the grave. And so I did this play when I was about 19 years old. Right? And I loved George Gray. That was stood out. And because I saw myself as that boat, longing for the sea. I'm still the boat, longing for the sea, and yet afraid. The only difference is I crossed the ocean several times with that fear in tow, with the belief that something good and wonderful is happening in my life in the midst of this. You want to affirm in the midst of the pain, in the midst of the despair, in the midst of the rage. You don't wait until you calm down. I can't wait until I calm down. I'm never calm. I'm mad at the world. I've got too many grievances. If I wait till me to calm down, I'm never going to get a prayer in. I had to learn how to pray in the midst of my rage. I created something. I ain't teaching this in home office yet. I call it the oh hell no treatment. The oh hell no prayer. When you find yourself ticked off and you're really angry, Dr. Holmes teaches us that prayer works with the technique, and the technique is the steps we use. The fire is your passion. Well, when I'm enraged, that's about as passionate as I get. So you start praying from that place. If you feel pain, pray from the pain. If you feel rage, pray from the anger, but tell the truth. God is all there is. I'm one with God, and therefore this situation must be X, Y, Z. It's a formula, and we stick to that. We do it over and over again. What begins to happen, we begin to train our mind to think this way. And as the mind gets trained to think this way, now it's going to start finding evidence that this is true. Confirmation bias works in reverse now. Describe suffering as a dense gravitational state, one that pulls us and holds us down. So I have at the depth of despair, depth of suffering, a door to transformation opens. I had two. The other one says, at the depth of despair. I mean, at the depth, I keep saying despair. That's what I'm dealing with. At the depth of suffering, laughter rises, soft at first, and then unstoppable, like the earth remembering spring. Humor is a good way out. Not the kind of humor that distracts us and takes us away from what we're dealing with. I'm talking about the kind of humor that can look at the problem, look at the pain, look at the malady, and poke fun at it. Dark humor, you want to call it? That works for me. Because in order to do that, we have to rise above it, to make fun of it. Immediately that takes us out of the suffering state and into the transformation or healing state. Absolutely.
Very hard lives, very hard childhoods, and they turn it into transformative humor.
Matter of fact, you look at all, they're all talking about their lives. You know, that's what I'm a comedian. Okay? I'm a natural born entertainer. God just plucked me and said, no, you're going to be entertained over here. You're not going over there doing what you thought you was going to do. That is not for you. And I could see, that's one thing I said, yeah, I could see that's not for me. I picked up on that right away. So we're going to end this year, this story, talking about laughter and humor. And this kind of reminds me of who we are. Flip Wilson tells this joke, and I saw some Flip on it, just reminded me. Some of y'all don't even know who that is. So, this is in Chicago. You can tell the joke about Chicago. It's a hot, hot day in Chicago. Sweltering heat. This is before refrigeration. So people have to buy ice. They got an ice box. They put the ice in the box. And that's how they keep their food cool. You with me so far? So the ice vendor has got an ice cart. He got this big wooden cart full of ice. He's got a horse that draws the cart. Okay. So up and down the streets of Chicago in the hot sun, he's screaming, ice, ice, get your ice, ice, cold ice, get your ice. And somebody like on the 15th, 16th floor says, I'll have some ice, give me a $5 piece. And we had to cut a $7 piece of ice, because by the time he gets up there, it's melty. He gets ice big, he cuts it out. So while he's gone delivering the ice, a man passed by the horse. And he hears the horse say, what a life. Did you say something? He said, yeah, I said something. I said, what a life. He said, well, what do you mean? What do I mean? This guy's trying to kill me. He works me from sun up to sundown 6 days a week. On Sundays, I have to go to the park and give rise to the kids. They're kicking me, they're pulling my ears, they're yelling at me, they're all kinds. If I buck one kid, glue factory for me. I get no breaks, no vacation, no sick leave, no nothing. This guy's trying to work me in the ground, and that's why I say, what a life. And the man said, but does he know that you can talk? And the horse said, hell no! And don't you tell him either. Because if he finds that out, he's going to make me yell, ice, ice, get your ice. Many of us are like that horse who can talk. But we won't for fear of what comes with it. What responsibility comes with that if I start being myself, showing my gifts, showing my talents? They might tease me, they might ridicule, I might get rejected. Something bad might happen if I'm myself. And the only reason I can think this about the real gold is because I've been sold on the fool's gold that says I am not enough. Can you say that? I'm enough?
I am enough.
Say it again 2 more times.
I am enough. I am enough.
This keeps you buoyant in times of stress. Whatever's in front of me, I have to know I'm enough for this. The power of God in me is greater than this. There's always more to me than what's going on in the moment. But like the horse, we keep silent for fear. For fear of whatever. However, that second and last quote, at the depth of suffering, laughter rises, soft at first, then unstoppable, like the earth remembering. Spring, find a reason to smile. And if you don't have a reason to smile right now, come see me. Go see someone. Let's work on that. Because that's essential. There must be a reason to smile. And when we found that reason to smile, that's a purpose. Because when we find our purpose, we smile. It's like we recognize ourselves. Yes? Now we all have the same purpose, to be the presence of the divine. We all have the same purpose, to be the light of the divine, and to share that. And many of us have gifted. John's got talented hands. He just started playing the piano. I used to think everybody could just start talking and know what's going to, and just not have to know what comes out of their mouth next. I didn't know that was a gift. I didn't realize that this is a special thing. Like the horse. You know? I think I was a senior in high school. And a term paper was due. I didn't even realize we had a term paper. And the girl next to me said, what's your term paper on? I said, term paper? Yeah, we got assigned at the beginning of the term. She said we could do it written or oral. Oral? All right then. I got up in front of the class and talked about 10 minutes on the conscience of the black man from Africa to today. That was brilliant. I got an A. And the girl next to me was mad. Because she knew how hard she worked on her project. I didn't know everybody couldn't do this. What gift are you seeing? What talent are you hiding? I have it. It's frightening. It is frightening. Every time I get up here, I'm terrified. Well, I push through it. You know, that's what happens. You know, you can't cross the ocean without being afraid. You get out in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight, you realize. It's like I was walking on the cruise ship late at night, and I realized, dude, you don't need to be on this deck. God is all there is, and God's the ocean too, but I'm not trying to find out, you know, in this dark water. So anyway, that's what I came to say. You have a gift, you have a talent, you have a purpose. And the purpose is your why. Something you can do better than everybody, or as good as anybody. Something that you love to do. You lose track of time when you're doing it. Find that thing and express that love, express that time. And find a reason to smile at yourself. The self inquiry, as I'm looking at myself, I poke fun at myself. Currently hears me talking to myself all day long. There you go again, boy. Look at you, Russell. Look at you. See, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm talking to myself to unwind the program of suffering that I dialed into my life for so many years. That's the beauty of this. If you just pay attention, I paid attention to who I am now. I'm remembering, as the song, I love that song. I'm remembering who I am now. That's all it has. Remember who you are. And as my dad would say, govern yourself accordingly. Thank you for being present. God bless you, sir. Thank you. This one was particularly hard, John, because much of my work that I researched, my printer, the machine wouldn't give it to me.
Today?
Today, it's been doing that. But I kept a permanent gift. Amen. It's here for everyone. It's here for all of us. It's a time of sharing. It's a time for us to give back. When I say give back, to contribute to the consciousness of oneness financially. I'm accepting that we do it in our service. We do it in our love for our fellow humans. Some of us have charitable organizations. Some of us are members of different groups and organizations that do different things. We're all come here as a meeting of this, and we put our service in here. We appreciate that. And financially, in order for us to prosper, the people who are prospering are not hoarding, they're circulating. They are circulating. And so, that's what we're doing too. At the same time, we have some immediate needs, as you can see. Mother Nature was kind to us this year. It decided that we have the consciousness. Listen to this. This is how I keep my mind working because I've been working this. God has decided that we have the ability to put a new roof on the building. I know that's what's being decided right now because we've needed a new roof since I've been here. And it's leaked periodically in different places all over the place. But it's just, at this point, it's time to quit patching. And it needs to be fixed. I'm going to tell you, poor, pitiful me is terrified of the prospect. I was very poor. It's not where are we going to get the money? Not even how. Who's going to help us do it? Because we're all in this together. Who's in on this? Well, we're all in on it. But that's what now? And not just that. It's just time for a different era. Starting with me. I talked to Karen Lee about it. We're going to be having a congregational meeting to do new elections for officers. I'm targeting April 6th, the first Sunday in April. That's my target date. You want to check with me? Okay, well, I'm all right. So just for all the players to be on deck.
Okay.
Because what we've been doing right up to now has worked up until now. I'm not saying it's not working. It has worked up until now. And now it's time to work something better or something different. So I'm just getting out of the way, as everyone say, getting our blooming methods out of the way of the body service, and knowing that it's not just about the roof. The roof is what's calling me to consciousness. It's calling us to consciousness because you cannot deny. You can't deny it. You come in, there's water on the floor. And it affects every part of the building, so I'm taking that as metaphor for my life. It's like, wow, my goodness. Some of you might know. So, our affirmation for today, our prosperity affirmation that we do every week, is designed to get us into the consciousness of flow of currency or current. So whatever you're being led to do, live streamers at home, people present, whatever you're being led to do, open your heart and follow that. And if you have the courage of the consciousness to extend that even further, please do so. Know that all gifts and contributions are accepted in joy and gratitude. With that being said, please repeat after me. From a consciousness of abundance.
From our consciousness of abundance.
And centered in gratitude.
And centered in gratitude.
I generously give.
I generously give.
I accept the gifts.
I accept the gifts
Of prosperity and abundance.
of prosperity and abundance
As I demonstrate.
divine circulation in my life.
Divine circulation in my life.
In gratitude I freely give.
In gratitude I freely give.
In joyful acceptance I freely receive.
Once again, giving online, PayPal and Zelle. The address is give@sfcsl.org. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am remembering. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am remembering. promote the idea of the oneness of God throughout the realm, throughout the cosmos, and to repair the structures in which we consume. For this, I give thanks and praise. And so it is.
Remaining in the consciousness of gratitude and wholeness. Join me now in prayer. Centering in the seat of the soul, following the breath to that inner space of knowing. And I speak my word in first person and in present tense, knowing that what is true for me is true for all, for there is only one life. And so breathing in this space, a deep inhale of life and an exhale of love, knowing that my very breath is a witness to that which is always breathing me. God, the one, the only life there is. The divine creator of all existence, beating the heart of all living beings. And the flow of life, with all of its ebbs and flows, ups and downs, ins and outs, is the flow of my very existence. I am one. I am one with the life of God. I am one with all existence. I am one with all experiences everywhere. And this is the truth of my life. This is the truth of all life. I am one. And so I stand immersed in a consciousness of wholeness, in a consciousness of perfection. No matter what it looks like in my life, no matter what it looks like in the world, I know that God is evolving, shaping, flowing, moving, immersing, revealing itself everywhere. I need only look. This is the truth of me. This is the truth of every being. The light of God shining forth everywhere. And so I am declaring that all seeming discord, all seeming disharmony are resolved right here, right now, in this word of truth. All fading into God, all fading into the perfect revelation of truth. My truth, all truth, every truth. Drawing from a wellspring of infinite good, I know that blessings abound in my life. All relationships are healed as my body, my consciousness, and my life heals itself through the grace of God flowing effortlessly in my life. This is my truth. This is the truth of all beings. For what is true for me is true for all. God is blessing each and every one of its creation, for God continuously loves itself into existence as a life of all beings and never fails to support its own creation. So I open my arms wide to receive the blessings. I open my heart wide to reveal the blessings. I open my consciousness wide in curiosity and in thanksgiving. So grateful am I. So thankful am I. And in this gratitude, in this thanksgiving, I release this word fully, completely, in faith and in knowing, trusting that the law of creation acts upon it and manifests it beautifully here and now. In one resounding voice of truth, I affirm, and so it is.
And so
Amen.
would it. Oh,
Ashe.
thank you.
Thank you. Announcements? Reverend Muata has made the first announcement of our community gathering, a meeting of, it's really important that if you are a member of our center, that you're present for that. We need a quorum of membership in order to vote on any resolutions or when he says officers, that means people serving on the core council. We haven't had a membership meeting for a while, so this is a good, wonderful opportunity to come together in the consciousness as a San Francisco Center. We're talking about the first Sunday in April right now. That's April 6th. Please be on the lookout in the on Facebook, in the newsletter, and in announcements. We'll put a flyer out when we create one for that date. So it's a community gathering. If you're not a member, please also stay for the meeting. But if you are a member, please make sure that you're here so that you can participate in any votes that are needed. And if you're interested in membership, please contact either Reverend Muata or John, because you can become a member before April 6th, and then you too can participate in the votes. At the close of this service, if you are interested in prayer, a one-on-one prayer, please come see me. It is really my blessing to pray with you. Make sure that you do that. Don't leave with something on your heart or mind that we can pray about together. Fellowship Sundays are on the first Sunday of every month. It is a potluck forum, although Alicia takes the bulk of responsibility for feeding us and providing food. It's a wonderful blessing that she does that, but everybody is welcome to bring something as well if you would like. There is a sign-up sheet in the back, which is really important. We're looking to establish a cleanup crew, is what I'm calling it, people who can stay to help clean up. We're thinking maybe 5 people for any first Sunday would really make much lighter work. When we don't have a cleanup crew, what often happens is that very few of us, including Alicia, who spent, my dad used to use the term oodles of time shopping and cooking and, you know, providing food, ends up staying here and doing a lot of the cleanup. And those of us that are here, we're often here till 5:30, 6 p.m. cleaning up. If we have a crew, that's much lighter work, and we can all be on our way much earlier. So there is a sign-up sheet in the back. Please avail yourself of that. It would be wonderful to have a steady crew for that. Also in the back is a flyer that is about Reverend Muata's 7 a.m. Zoom prayer call. It is back there. Please take a look at that. The address for the Zoom is back there. That's every morning at 7 a.m. to begin our day in prayer. There's also a sign up for the newsletter that Eve Tarquino anchors. If you are interested in receiving the newsletter and you don't currently, it's your name and email address. She sends it out through email, so please also sign up for that. We have some other Sunday service opportunities, one of which is anchoring our Facebook camera and audio. Today we have Amy Jo, Reverend Amy Jo, who's anchoring it. Eve often does it. There's a sign-up sheet for that in the back as well. We are trying to create consistency, so almost all of the sign-up sheets are like first Sunday, second Sunday, third Sunday. It would be great to have a commitment that, you know, for instance, every second Sunday you're able to do it. If you can't do that and you want to sign up on a particular date that is, let's say, a second Sunday, write the date underneath where it says second Sunday, but ideally you just put a check mark because you're available every second Sunday or third, fourth, what have you. Eve is able to show anybody how to do it. It's fairly simple, right? Yeah. Yeah, and so you're still in the service, you're just being of service, and we really appreciate it because we do want to have our people who are viewing, live streamers, who are able to participate, and then it's posted on Facebook for anybody who also couldn't see it live streamed. They can check it out later on, like if you're traveling or something like that. The inspirational reading, which Daniel did today, thank you, Daniel. The reading is provided by either John or Reverend Mwata. We do need people to sign up to do that as well. I know Nikki and Charlotte did that a lot. They're traveling right now, I think, but they sign up for that. Again, if you can commit to every third Sunday or something along those lines, that would be great. If not, a specific date you can write in. But the inspirational reading is just that. You come up and you read. So that would be lovely as well. The conscious conversations, or core conversations, as Daniel calls them, he provides that as a service to our community every second and fourth Sundays at the close of our service, so typically about 1 p.m. Joining in those conscious or core conversations has been really lovely. We've been working a lot with the creative process, but talking about spiritual principles and spiritual practices and taking a look at how that's working in our lives is what the core or conscious conversations are about. They take place around 1 o'clock starting and last an hour. Most people grab a quick bite to eat, like a sandwich. You can eat in the sanctuary, and then we join together in those conversations. It's been wonderful, and Daniel facilitates that and anchors it. And he also anchors Boxing for Fitness, which is held right here in the sanctuary at different dates on Wednesdays, and on Wednesdays I think it's 10 a.m. Wednesday, 8 a.m. There's a reason I blocked that out of my head. Okay, Wednesdays at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Saturdays at 10, except for the third Saturday.
Saturdays at 10, except for the third Saturday is at 12 noon. And there's a flyer in the back as well. It's also posted on our Facebook. It's a great opportunity to really be in the groove of mind, body, spirit, fitness. It's not just about learning to box and, punch the lights out of somebody. Just saying. I'm saying, but it's also an opportunity to just feel your body move in fitness. And I think, Tony, you participate in it, right? You do the boxing? Yeah. So you're learning footwork, your balance, movement, all kinds of wonderful things. Any age, right, Daniel? Any age, any fitness level, any skill level. Yeah, so perfect. So please come join that. Boxing for Fitness. We are really revitalizing our education ministry, and Lena, one of our newest practitioners, along with Reverend Mwata and myself, have been in conversation. People in the community have been calling for more classes, like I know Daniel has expressed interest. Whether or not you're wanting to go all the way through the various classes to practitioner training, that isn't what it's about. It's about developing and deepening consciousness through classwork. And I know, Linda, you've spoken many times about classwork and the transformation that takes place and the deepening that takes place through classwork. Foundational was offered in the fall. This current term, we are offering the Ernest Holmes course, which is called, I'm spacing on it. What's that? The Essential Ernest Holmes. Thank you. And there is a flyer in the back for the Essential Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes being the founder of Science of Mind in the 1920s. It's a really great opportunity to look at the evolution of this philosophy. If you can imagine what was taking place in the 1920s in every possible way, or not taking place in the 1920s in every possible way, and to think about the evolution. It's a great opportunity to think about evolution in our own lives in consciousness as well. So there are flyers in the back. It's also been posted already on the Facebook page if you are interested in that. It begins on March 13th, and that's Thursdays from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. It's going to be a hybrid class, which means that there will be gatherings here periodically for the class, but it's also being held online. And of course, if you're signing up, you'll be told which times are meeting here and which are going to be online as well. We are going to be beginning again. I don't know what to call it. You call it, what do you call it?
I call it a kind of nutritional reboot, but
Okay.
it's really about having a new relationship with our food, and it's a 21-day upliftment in relationship to what we put into our mouth and how the vibrations of what we eat uplift
Yeah, beautiful. Couldn't have said it better, so I'm not going to try. But we're changing our relationship to food. It's really thinking consciously and with intention about not only what we're putting in our mouth, how we're feeding our body, but what that means and how it's terms it's out picturing in the world. And I'll just be vulnerable here now and speak to that. For many years now, I have not had a very healthy relationship with food because I haven't had a very healthy relationship with grief. And those two things have been deeply related to me without me necessarily consciously thinking about it very much. And some people have that pathway and don't eat. I have that pathway and ate, overate. And through this process, which really focuses not just on juicing, but as we said, conscious eating, that really did change my relationship with food. And now I need to change my wardrobe as well, quite a bit. So that is really not just about, for me at least, let me just say it was a healing opportunity, because it isn't about, oh, I want to lose weight, oh, I want to look better. Those are offshoots for me. It really was about really getting in touch with how my relationship with food has been very dysfunctional and tied in deeply with grief. So anyway, yes.
I just wanted to add a comment to what you just said. I think the most significant thing that anyone can get from listening to this talk that will compare is that food is in essence fuel and not a reward.
Yeah.
And if you can look at it in those
Or an
terms-
escape.
What's on it?
Or an escape.
Or an escape, exactly. But if you can look at it as fuel, or when you put water in your gas tank, or when you put garbage in your gas tank and think the car's gonna go. So
Yeah.
that I think is one of the more significant messages that we convey in that kind of a presentation. It's just shifting your consciousness on how you go.
Yeah.
with food.
Yeah. So, and growing up in a food culture,
Yeah.
I'm from New Orleans. I grew up in a food culture. It's what you do in New Orleans. You eat and you talk about food while you're eating. You talk about other meals that you're going to cook or you already ate before while you're eating. So, food is a beautiful thing. It's not something to be afraid of,
No.
but it is something to be mindful of. So, like anything else we're doing. So, I think that's it
Wow,
on
thank you.
announcements. Are there any others?
One more for the community night at the back last page. That's the sign. There's a plethora of sign-up sheets out there.
Yes, there are.
So if you want to peruse that. But we have a thought to do a game
Oh, yes, thank you,
night
John. I forgot all about that.
at some point. I guess I haven't looked at it yet. It's back there.
We're wanting to come together as a community more. So we've been thinking about a lot of different ideas. We just need the mobilizing of that. So people who are willing to organize, if you have games, game night has been thrown around, film night has been thrown around, going to bowling together, doing things as a community, dances, talent show. Keep looking over at you, John. Talent show, so if you are somebody who likes to organize, somebody who has games, somebody who has ideas, somebody who just wants to see it happen, there's a sign-up sheet for that in the back as well. So thank you for that reminder. I think
Okay.
that's it.
I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you. And now, John.
Then we have Thanksgiving and gratitude. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Well, that's okay.
So Amy Jo, for sure, thank you for anchoring that today. Really appreciate that. Daniel for doing the offering. I appreciate you as well. John, always for the music as well. And then the reading. Yes, the reading as well. So Daniel's done double duty today. So appreciate. He's like, stop. Yeah.
And thanks to
By
Mawada.
the way, we haven't talked about that. We mentioned Vipassana. I asked you about that too. Vipassana is a particular branch of Buddhism, of a meditation technique. There is a smaller center over in Marin County, but the larger Buddhist meditation retreat center is in Norfolk, California, which is about 35 miles southeast of Yosemite. It is a free thing, but you do have to sign up for it. And at least if you do the one that is down in Norfolk, it is called Noble silence. You're there for 12 days. 10 of those days, you are in absolute silence. And noble silence, if you don't know what that means, is like you don't even look at other people. You can both be going for the whatever at the same time. And if I'm reaching and the person next to me is reaching, I don't turn to them and go, oh, no, which is what we typically do. You stay within yourself. And just one person, yeah. Tony's like, elbow them out of the way. No, Tony. So you stay within yourself. And you learn quite a lot being silent, because silence implies I'm not speaking. There's a lot going on up in here. Mm-hmm. And when you're silent here, it allows you to pay attention to how not silent I am here. And you get in touch with whatever that is that's taking place. I would love if we get into the vein of doing things together. I know there are communities that have gone to Vipassana together. Several people signing up to do Vipassana together. So Reverend Mawata and I have done it before a long time ago. It was an amazing experience.
So
All right.
I was just going to give thanks for Reverend Mawata's sermon. It was wonderful. And also want to bring up Daniel and Gabriella, who helped out with this whole thing again
Oh,
this
yeah,
week
they
with the
sure
rain.
did. Yeah.
Continual
Appreciate it.
thanks, gratitude.
Like that we had all kind, and you can still smell it. It's drying out still.
Right.
So we may not only be looking for funds to do this, we might be needing to replace carpet because it's gone underneath. What's that, Tony? Oh, do a whole revamp, he's saying. Why not? We can do that. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
John.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. Letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Okay, thank you.
Well, following up on the thanks, Dr. John.
Okay.
Amy Jo.
Ella. There you go. That's what I said, yeah. And their four-legged member of the family, which mini me.